Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is the Paddy Power, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Monday Postcast. It's a special, we're looking back on a fantastic Cheltenham Festival. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm joined by Maddie Playle, Tom Siegel and David Jennings to look back on 4 wonderful days at Cheltenham. We're going to look ahead and see if there's any decent bets popping up for next year. Also, if we've learned anything that might help us at Aintree and Punchestown. And of course, the flat starts this weekend as well. So we're going to have some tips for the Lincoln and some horses to follow. Okay, before we look at the actual racing itself, overall, Maddie, how did you enjoy it from a punting and socialising sense?
Yeah, punting-wise, it wasn't great, got to admit. But I've got to say, I think I learnt a lot this Cheltenham Festival. There was the whole thing about the ground beforehand. People were getting whipped up into a panic about that. And I think as someone who tries to take on the favourites, it was more a case of learning that the good horse wins the race at the end of the day. And you can try and spin whatever you like on it, but 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen. It was really good to see some really good quality winners, and I don't think for the majority of it, the ground didn't make that much difference, really.
And you were down for 2 days, weren't you?
Yeah, 2 days, good 2 days, really enjoyed it.
Sensible, or some? I was told.
Sensible,
I was
Bruce,
told
you
that
know me.
someone said that there was a group of Racing Post people in the Tommy Atkins bar on the Tuesday who were getting very noisy, and your name cropped up.
I've got to say, I wasn't there for that long, but yeah, it was great fun. We were all on Mr. Whittaker and the Close Brothers, so that was a brilliant Cheltenham memory made there, it must be said.
Excellent. And Tom, you were an armchair fan this year, weren't you? Did you enjoy what you saw?
Yeah, of course, always do. It's the best 4 days of the year. Always will be. Yeah, loved it.
Did you punt well?
As Maddie, look, anti-post was great. Yeah, had 3 or 4 really nice ones anti-post, but on the day stuff's very, very difficult now. I think these races are bet into oblivion, all the way through, for the months in advance. And it's really difficult because your Coup-Star Sivolas and your, horses like that are 5-1 on the day. Are they good value on the day? Of course they are after the event. But when you're watching it beforehand, you're sort of thinking 24 runner handicap, novice. Do I want to back him at 5-1? So I just think that punting wise on the day is getting really tricky. But apart from that, yeah, I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
And DJ, we were both down for all 4, weren't we? It was a good old week, wasn't it? And I'll tell you what, we got lucky with the weather, didn't we? Because it was, apart from the Wednesday, it was actually lovely and warm during the day, and then it chucked it down at night, didn't it? Did you enjoy yourself, DJ?
Yeah, it was magic, Bruce. I actually stayed. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I stayed till Sunday. I didn't fly back till Sunday night. And we went around the Cotswolds on Saturday, and it was so cold that we couldn't even get out of the hire car. It was -3 at 2 o'clock in the middle of the day in the Cotswolds. So that tells you how lucky we were at Cheltenham.
Okay, and how was your punting, DJ?
Really good, yeah. Some nice big price ones like Balco the Flow helped the flow. So yeah, no, it was great.
Okay, well, the race of the week, in terms of status and indeed how it transpired, was the Gold Cup. I thought it was the most enthralling contest. Native River and Might Bite slugging it out from the word go. I tell you what, I spoke to someone in the office today and they said there was a few people who on the day were a bit sort of nonplussed, but I thought it was absolutely sensational. Tom Siegel, where did that rank in terms of Gold Cup spectacles you've ever seen?
It was great, wasn't it? I mean, I don't see where anyone's coming from that didn't enjoy that. I mean,
Go
if you
and
don't
find
enjoy that
another
race,
sport. It was superb.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy that race, you'll never enjoy any race, Bruce. I mean, I thought the 2 of them going head to head from miles out was really good because I like races like that where the good horses take everything else out of their comfort zone. I'm not, there's a couple back in the field, Annabelle Fly, Total Recall, that I thought ran excellent national trials. We'll probably come on to that later. But as far as Gold Cups go, I don't know what more you could want. The 2 best horses in the race going at it from miles out.
Maddie was talking earlier about the fact that, sometimes you're not sure just how ground dependent these races are. At what point do you think, how much firmer would it have had to have got for Might Bite to have reversed that, do you think?
A little bit firm. I don't think on soft ground he'd ever get past Native River myself. I think he's just not as strong a stayer as Native River. On good ground, I think he'd have to be in front of him, jump in the last. I mean, I think, Nico de Boinville was at pains to, to hold him up, make sure he got the trip. I think in a good ground festival, they can now be confident that he's not going to do his silly antics and run off. He didn't show any signs of that. So I think on a good ground, he'd be in front of Native River. They let him blast, and therefore it might be a different result for sure. But, I don't think if they sat behind him, whatever the ground was, I don't think they'll get past Native River.
Maddie, would you be tempted to back either of those two horses for the Gold Cup next year? And before you answer, Paddy Power on the 2019 Gold Cup, 6-1 Presenting Percy, 6 Might Bite, 7 Native River. They've bung Monolly in at 20-1.
At this stage, I'd just leave it alone. But the one thing I would say is I'm sort of in agreement with Tom. People have got this in their head that Native River's a slogger. And yes, obviously the soft ground did help him. But even on good ground, I think it's more a case of the speed they went. Because they went so fast and got everything out of its comfort zone, I wouldn't necessarily be that keen on saying Might Bite had reversed the form anyway. I can certainly see the angle. But, you know, Native River won a 2-mile listed hurdle. He's not that slow. And his jumping just won it for him. So I can see the angle saying that they might reverse the form, but I think people are getting a little bit carried away. At the end of the day, he won, and Might Bite was absolutely legless at the end.
Yeah, it was a brutal contest for sure. And DJ, actually, you know, it wouldn't have needed much more than another furlong for Annabelle Fly to have come right past him, would it?
No, he ran a cracker, and it was great to see him coming back to form because he's a very good horse, and I think his run in the Irish Gold Cup was really, really disappointing. But he was good at Christmas. But my theory on the Gold Cup is it would be a completely different race on good ground. And that's what people need to realise, is that Might Bite would have had the nice to go past Native River coming down the hill, like what happened in the Gold Cup last year when Native River got outpaced. And as Tom said, in a normal Gold Cup on decent ground, Might Bite would have been in front coming down to the last. And that's the difference. I think next year, if you're thinking about back in Native River for the Gold Cup next year, it's very unlikely to be conditions like we had on Friday. And I genuinely think that Might Bite would beat Native River on decent ground because I think he's got that natural tactical speed that you need coming down the hill. And that's why the race was so different to other Gold Cups on Friday. It wasn't the pace that was needed coming down the hill. It was Nico holding on to Might Bite for as long as possible. OK, well, Tom, we touched on Presenting Percy there. Like I say, 6-1. His RSA win was pretty impressive, wasn't it? Do you think he can develop into a horse to challenge these front two next year?
Most definitely, yeah. Love him. I think he's just one of those horses that keeps creeping up on you every time. You know, it's like Davy Russell said. Every time he rides him, he doesn't think he's that good, doesn't think he's brilliant, and then all of a sudden he wins an RSA by 15 lengths or whatever he won. Definitely think he's a massive player next year. Yeah, I think he jumps so well. He's so economical with his jumping. The issue he's got is that those two are going to, you know, if it's a good ground race, he'll have to get past Might Bite, who might be, you know, 15, 20 lengths up on him at some stage. But yes, he's the one horse that you would say from the rest of the festival that you could see getting involved with those two. I can't see a Monolly doing it or any of the, or maybe a Balco de Fleur if they stepped up into it. But really, I think Paddy Power have it right. I think those three at the moment stand out as the Gold Cup horses of the future.
Anything else that might enter the equation in the next 12 months, Maddie, and you could sit here this time next year and say, yeah, that's the Gold Cup winner, we knew about that?
I'm not sure. I think Presenting Percy, I doubted him. I thought it was a mad prep they'd given him, running him over 2-mile 5, then going back hurdling, then Arduke beat him. I was really doubting him, but he was class, simple as. He's a quality horse. I think we're in dangers of forgetting about Shattered Love a little bit. A lot of people probably don't think she beat that much when she won the JLT, but she was so green in front. I love the way she jumped, given a great Jack Kennedy ride. And of course she gets her mare's allowance, which is bound to help. But I think, you know, the amount of inexperience she showed, there's a lot of improvement there. And she did actually beat Presenting Percy earlier on in the season. So, yeah, I don't think you should be forgetting about her by any means.
And DJ, Balco de Flo, where would you see his career going from here?
Yeah, maybe it's my wallet rule in my head, but I was mightily impressive. I think it was one of those races during the week where you could call the winner a long, long way from home. He was travelling so much better than anything else in that Ryanair field. You know, the winning margin I think was 4.5 lengths. Like, he was value for more than that. He idled badly and hit the last on the run in. I think he will stay. It's funny, Eddie and Michael O'Leary seem to think that there's no way. I asked Michael after the race, I said, surely he'll develop into a Gold Cup contender, and he laughed at me. No, he won't stay, he'll be Ryanair. But, you know, he's got a lot of maturing to do. He's really come a long way in a very short space of time. In the space of 8 months, like, he's come from nowhere, basically. And I wouldn't be one bit surprised to see Balco de Flo make that step up. And he's a good ground horse. Like, he will be so much better as well. So I don't know if he's got the class of Presenting Percy. Presenting Percy looks a monster. And if you're having an anti-post bet in the Gold Cup, given how good Pat Kelly is at getting one ready for the big day, his Cheltenham record is phenomenal. It would have to be Presenting Percy. OK. Tom, by the way, I'm going to be mostly upbeat throughout this postcast because it was such a great week. But blimey, that Ryanair, I mean,
talk about people being nonplussed by the Gold Cup. That race was run in virtual total silence to Ryanair. 6 runners, Underso led, Balca de Flo led, Balca de Flo won. Is there anything positive we can take out of the Ryanair, Tom?
Well, he's a very good horse, isn't he, Balca? I think he's an underrated horse for sure, Bruce. I mean, like DJ says there, he was never going to lose. The problem with it, as you say, is that Q-Card clearly didn't win his race. I thought Underso he's a 10-year-old now. He pulled too hard. He pulled his way to the front. It probably took no winning. Having said that, he's a young, improving horse on the up. He was second in the Irish Gold Cup. I think he's underrated. I personally think that Road to Respect of the Gigginstown has the better chance of winning a Gold Cup than him. I thought Road to Respect ran a really good race on ground that wouldn't have suited him. He was only beaten about 10 lengths and that surprised me because I didn't think he had any chance of staying, but he kept on up the hill. Thinking a good ground Gold Cup, I don't think he'd beat Might Bite, but I think he'd have a chance of beating Native River maybe. I think he'd be on the tails of Native River. So of the Gigginstown horses, I think he's the one that still could become a Gold Cup horse. I mean, we've go on year and year about horses that don't come back from being placed in a Gold Cup to win it. Well, Native River proved that not to be the case, and I think he's still got some upside. He's only 7 Road to Respect. I think he's the other one in the Gold Cup that people are forgetting.
Okay, and by the way, Maddie, quick word on Jackadam. I thought he ran a really nice race, finished 5th. I mean, he's got some Gold Cup record, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. At the end of the day, he's proved that he's probably not quite good enough to winning one, but horses like that, if they weren't in it, the race would be lacking, without him. So it's good to see him turn up and great to see him run well.
It certainly is. We'll come back to the chasers in a little while to talk about the 2-mile division, but let's look at the champion hurdle picture now. First of all, Belvedere, we expected it to be an absolute procession. It was anything but, Maddie. It turned into a much more exciting race than we thought. Does that speak more for the fact that Belvedere has underperformed or that the runner-up has run an absolute stormer?
I think perhaps a little bit of both. I mean, there was rumour in the yard beforehand that some of them were sick, and I knew Belvedere could have got caught up in that perhaps. So maybe he wasn't quite at his best, but at the same time, the money came for Mellon. I've always thought Mellon's a good horse on his day because he just travels so well. He just needs to settle. But as I say, the market sort of told you he was going to run a big race. Yeah, I mean, it was an exciting finish. I think Belvedere's probably capable of a little bit better. Who knows?
Tom, champion hurdle thoughts?
Bad race, Bruce. I thought it was a weak race, really. I like Mellon. I think on good ground, he's definitely a player. Belvedere is clearly a very good champion hurdle winner. Can't win 2 without being an exceptional horse. I thought the rest of them, Mick Jazz was only 3. Doesn't strike me as being a great race. I think looking forward to the future, thought Somerville Boy, I presume he'll stay hurdling. I thought he'd be a player. I mean, the time was exactly the same as the champion hurdle. I think he'd be a player in the champion hurdle. And I think if they ever decided, which I presume DJ is going to tell me I'm mad, that they ran Sam Crow in a champion hurdle, I'd fancy him to win it myself.
Okay.
I'm not one that sits here saying these overhyped horses normally. I normally try and take on these overhyped horses like Sam Crow, but I think, over the years, the Ballymore has been a better trial for the champion than the Supreme. He won it on the bridle. I think I would love him to have a crack at the champion hurdle next year. I think that would be great because I think we need new blood in the race. And at the moment, it's hard to find it.
OK, so Paddy Power bet on the 2019 champion hurdle. 5-2 Belvedere, 8 Mellon, 8 Sam Crow, 14 Lorena, 20 Somerville Boy, 20 Farclas, and 33-1 Bar. Tom, you mentioned Somerville Boy there. I mean, he's absolutely clouted the last 2 in the Supreme. That's probably a better win than it looks on paper. And I know that his form this season, there's a few performances in there that wouldn't necessarily be champion hurdle class, but he's progressive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a very good horse. He's a clear, very good horse. I mean, it's hard to say. Being a massive Kalashnikov fan, I was a bit disappointed after the race, simply because I thought he left his chin out for Somerville Boy to, he chased Getterbird when perhaps, given the conditions, if he'd a little bit circumspect, he might have won. But as you quite rightly point out, Somerville Boy lost about 5 lengths at the second last. And to get back up, I mean, I think that was the conditions that helped. On good ground, he would never have been able to do that. I don't think they would have come back to him. But having said that, to be able to do that marks him down as a really, really good horse. And look, he's won. There were 2 Grade 1 winners in the Supreme. They finished 1st and 3rd with the Betfair Hurdle winner in 2nd. I think the form is very solid, very good. The time, as I say, was exactly the same as the the champion hurdle. I think Somerville Boy, if he stays hurdling, why not? Why wouldn't he have a chance? He'd be a better novice hurdler than Mellon was, for example.
Okay, so Maddie, we know what we've got now. It's obviously a year away. We don't have to have a bet. I think you'd have to be semi-insane to do so. But if we were getting involved now, at those prices, who do you think will win the champion hurdle next year?
It's tough because we're talking about Somerville Boy. I don't know if he'd go that way. Maybe he's going to go chasing. And Lorena the same. They're always talking about her as a chaser. And then, of course, she has the mare's option. But I think I'm someone, I know the Time boys weren't overly impressed with her winning the mare's novice, but I'm someone who instinctively just goes on visuals and what you see, and she was just spectacular in that. And I think, you know, Willie Mullins, he did it with Annie Power. Perhaps, you know, if he truly believes she's good enough, she'll get the allowance, as I say. So I think she'd be the one you'd have to side with at this stage. I wasn't really overly enamoured with anything that happened in the Triumph. I thought that race was a bit of a mess. So, yeah, Lorena, I think for me.
OK, fine. It's competition time. Here's your chance to win a free £25 or €25 bet from Paddy Power. Simply tweet the answer to the following question using the hashtag Postcast. We will announce the winner on Friday's show when Maddie is your host. The winner will have the free bet credited to their Paddy Power account. And the question is this: who is favourite with Paddy Power for the 2019 Champion Hurdle? We'll take a quick break.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is the Paddy Power, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.
Right then, let's look at the 2-mile chase scene. Altior obviously won the champion chase. Footpad won Racing Post Arkle. If they were to meet next year, Tom Siegel, who would win?
Oh, tricky one. I'm a massive Altior fan, always have been. I think he's the best chaser in training, but Footpad's something special too, isn't he? I know they set the race up for him, but I think, speaking to the connections of Footpad in the run up to the race, did a few previews with a few of them, and I was banging on about how, look, he's never beaten a good horse, or he's had all his own way and all this. You know, he was a worse hurdler than Petit Mouchoir, and he's a bad, all that. They said he is a totally different horse this year to he was last year. He's the best horse we got in the yard, and he's going to win. And I couldn't believe the confidence they had in him, and it was fully justified on the day. Now, I know they set the race up for him, and it probably, you know, there was no other circumstance, you know, it couldn't have gone better for him. But I think he's really good. However, I think Altior's the best horse we've got in training at the moment. He's an absolute monster up the hill at Cheltenham. People have him down as this fast, flashy horse. He looked like he was beat the whole way.
He didn't cruise through the race by any means, did he? It was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he wins by 7 or 8 lengths every single time. You know, I've never seen a horse devour that hill like him. He does it every single time he's there. Now, there might be some suggestions that Footpad would get him, but Footpad's going to have to be a long way in front of him to jump in the last, because he's an absolute monster at Cheltenham, I think, Altior. And for me, it'll always be him.
And Maddie, do you think Footpad might potentially have been flattered by the style and margin of victory in the Arkle, simply because those two rode like apprentices having the first ever ride? I mean, you know, you talk about sectionals earlier. I don't know how fast they did the first 4 furlongs, but it was like watching the Cork and Orrery.
Yeah, I think Tom's spot on. It did fall into his lap a little.
Maddie's like, what? What's the Cork and Orrery?
Just chose to ignore that one straight over my head, I'm afraid. Yeah, I think you're spot on with how the race fell apart a bit. But I thought he was beat when he made that mistake down the back. That was a bad mistake, and usually you can't really tend to make those errors and still go on and win. But as we've said, he's just a class horse. In terms of who I'd side with Altior. I mean, I remember a few years ago I got crabbed for saying I think he'd be better over further than 2 miles, but he's a staying 2-mile chaser. That's what he is. And Nico was right. He was in danger the whole way throughout that champion chase. He was never really picking up the bridle. It didn't matter. Good horses overcome these things. Altior's been there and done it. Footpad hasn't. And again, I'd like to see Footpad against some better opposition before I get quite that confident.
And you were there Wednesday, weren't you?
Yeah.
The roar, I tell you what, the roar went Altior. Because he was evens, and I think for a lot of punters, evens is a kind of symbolic price, because they don't like backing odds on. So you can get a bit of evens odds against a good thing like that. Honestly, the noise when he cleared off up the hill was absolutely spine-tingling. I loved it. You would have been in the Tommy Atkins bar, no doubt.
I wasn't quite there, but yeah.
Songs. A question for you, David Jennings. What would have happened if Douvan hadn't come to grief at the top of the hill?
Oh, you're just after mentioning the horse I was about to mention. And funnily enough, I've just spoke to Patrick Mullins for a piece in tomorrow's paper. He had the most bizarre week of his life. Winning a race, last minute call up to ride Duvan, falling in Bacardi's at the last in the stairs hurdle when still in with a shot. On Jack Adam in the Gold Cup, he had the most bonkers week. But listening to him talking about Duvan, his exact quote was that he felt like he was doing a half speed the whole way. He has never had a feeling like he felt until the moment he departed. And he was just so thrilled the horse got back up, because he really feared the worst when they came down. I've never seen Duvan quite enjoying it as much as he did. He seemed to be absolutely loving it. And if Patrick is right and he was doing a half speed, it would have been very, very interesting to see what would have happened. Obviously, he would have had to have been absolutely exceptional to beat Altior, given what Altior did after the last. But he would have been bang there. Like, he was relaxed, he was enjoying himself, and I think he's probably the forgotten horse of the festival. When something like that happens, a horse, people just kind of say, well, sure, he was beaten, Altior won the race. But he is very much on my radar for next season. I could even see him turn into a King George contender. I think he's tailor-made for a race like that. And the real Duvan does look to be back, and I'm hugely excited about him next season.
Did Patrick say we might see him again this spring?
He wasn't sure. Obviously, it takes a while, I suppose, for them to get back into decent enough work at home and stuff like that. But I'd imagine he'll be back out for Punchestown. It was just so... Of all the things that happened at the festival, that was probably one of the most disappointing aspects, because we just never know how he would have done. Because
he's only 8, I think, isn't he, Duvan? So, and the injury he had is one that once that bone fuses, he's fine again. So it's really exciting to think that he might be there. And Paddy Power, 12-1 Duvan for next year's Champion Chase. They're 11-8 Altior, 5 footpad and 14-1 Min. So I think the 2 mile staying division next year is going to be very interesting indeed. OK, let's look at other takeouts, other highlights. Tom, you mentioned the Grand National, so we better have a little look at that. I think you mentioned Total Recall and Annabelle Fly running good national trials. Is there anything else enter the equation from a national perspective?
Well, Tiger Roll was good, wasn't he? I mean, we've had Gordon Elliott's won it with 2 former winners of the cross country, isn't he? I can't remember the first one, but Cause of Causes and the one that he trained on. Yeah. The one that Paul Nicholls used to train, it was second in the Welsh National. Silver Birch, yes. Yeah, of course, yeah. He's done it twice before. Altior, Tiger Roll, to me, doesn't ever look like a proper chaser. He's tiny, he's by authorised, a Derby winner. But he was brilliant around those fences, never looked like he was going to get beat, so he comes into the equation. I thought Annabelle Fly finished off the Gold Cup like a horse that had loads left. Myself, I thought of all the horses that ran in the Gold Cup, he put in the best trial. But he's only 8. Whether they'll run him in the Nationals, they might want to go to Punchestown with him. And also, you've got to mention Total Recall, because I think he never really got in a rhythm. Got messed around a few times, but he would have finished 4th at worst. And I think the plan has always been the National with him rather than the Gold Cup. It's sort of an afterthought. He reminds me of Hedge Hunter, who was sort of a Hennessy placed horse. I mean, Total Recall won the Hennessy and then went on to the National. Generally, he's a good jumper. Obviously, having a hard fall is not an ideal preparation for the National. But I think in terms of handicap marks, I think Annabelle Fly and Total Recall are going to go into the race as the best handicapped horses in the race. But I'd never rule off Tiger Roll. I keep ruling him out, and he keeps winning. So, of the ones that ran at the festival, I think those 3 stand out.
And it's interesting this year. There's only 15 days between the Gold Cup and the National. This time, I think there's 29 days. So they might just get a bit of a rest into them. Paddy Power's latest betting on the Grand National then: 10-1 Total Recall, 12 Black Line, 14 The Last Samurai, who ran okay, twisting around the cross country course, 14 Manila Rocco, obviously missed the Gold Cup, 14 Bells Hill, 16 Cause of Causes, 16 Rathvinden, 20 Tiger Roll, 20 Vicente, 20 Annabelle Fly, 20 Gold Present, 25 Bar. Maddie, who wins the Nash?
Oh, God, you can't direct questions like that at me.
Why not? You must have an opinion.
I think, yeah. I think Rathvinden's very interesting, the one you mentioned there. Big Miss Parfois fan. I was on her. And Rathvinden, to be fair, best horse won the race. He cantered all over her. He's got that bit of back class that should serve him well. I'm with Tom. I always keep doubting Tiger Roll, the little Tiger Roll, but he keeps on coming out and doing it. I don't think there was anything majorly to come out of Cheltenham that I thought Aintree straight away. But Rathvinden definitely perhaps one that I'm keeping my eye on.
Okay, and DJ, have you got the National winner for me?
I have a deplorable record in the National, but I was kind of happy to see Manila Rocco come out of the Gold Cup, because he's my idea of the Grand National winner. Whether it's this year or next year, I'm not quite sure. On Annabelle Fly, I just wonder, will they wait a year? I know a lot can happen in 12 months, but Tony Martin's initial reaction straight after the race was maybe he's too young. So I just wonder, like Tom said, he did finish the race full of running. He looks like he's loads more to offer. I just wonder, will Manila Rocco now be their number one hope for the National? I think there's a bit of 20s about. I think he's got a great chance.
Okay.
As well, before you say that, cause of causes, he finished sore. So it'd be interesting to see if he goes to Aintree. Obviously finished second last year. If he does make it, I think he's just usually a horse that you can set your clock by. So it'd be good to see him turn up. Hopefully he'll be all right for that.
Okay, Maddie, stick with you. Any other horses, any other highlights, any other things that we should note for betting purposes in the future from 4 fabulous days at Cheltenham?
Loads. Personal highlight, already touched on it, Mr. Whittaker. Brilliant finish, and again, he didn't win by very far at all, given a great ride. So he could be interesting, especially if he goes a pin trip. I think he's a good horse. Tracker, I got 3. I love the run of Benatar in the JLT. He always pulls really hard. He needs to learn how to settle. He hadn't had a good prep for this. I think they wanted to go for the Scilly Isles or something and then couldn't. I'm convinced he's a good horse. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know I absolutely love a horse called Go With The Flow, who ran behind Sam Crow in the Ballymore. I think he'll make an absolutely cracking chaser. He jumps hurdles like the fences already. And I'd just like to see him finishing off his races a little bit better, but I think he's screaming chaser next year. And another one similar, Colin Tizard's Lost in Translation. Travelled really well in the Supreme for a long way, wants better ground. Again, he's got the physique to make a chaser, and I think he beat Blackop at Newbury earlier on in the season, so I think he's one to keep on side as well.
Tom, what have you got for us to put in our horse tracker?
My number one horse to follow is out the meeting is Santini, Bruce. I think he is just I think he's just got a great attitude. He was beaten the whole way and he kept on plugging at it. I think he's going to be a really good horse going forward. I think there's plenty more improvement from him. I'm interested in the Nationals. I think the Irish version is coming up soon. I thought Maldini ran a cracking Irish National trial. I think the ground was a little bit too soft, just got outstayed by Mr. Approach. And
does he actually want to go by, though, Tom?
Sorry?
Does he actually want to go by, Maldini?
Look, he won the per temps, didn't he? He won the per temps. I think it's a ground issue with him. I think Patrick Mullins got off and said he's never had a horse jump so well. I think he's a Grand National horse of the future. I think this year the Irish National will be perfect for him. I think he just needs better ground.
Okay.
Also, DJ's Jury Duty, who I think might run in the Irish National as well. He was a little bit disappointing in the 4-miler, but he doesn't like that ground either, and I think he'll go well. And 2 that ran in the Martin Pipe that I think you should keep in your tracker. Lockderg Spirit of Nicky Henderson's, who ran on into 6th. I think a race at Aintree over 2.5 miles might be his game. And also from the same race, Dream Berry of John Joe O'Neill's, who came from sort of last to finish about 6th or 7th, right on the heels of the leaders. He doesn't like soft ground either, but I thought that was his first run of the season. I think maybe Aintree punches down Fairy House, big handicap there. I think he'll be perfect for one of them. I'm
interested to know, Tom, a race like the Pertemps and indeed all those races at the festival, how often would you look at them again, on the day or during the week, just to see what you can suss?
I have just watched the Pertemps 3 times this morning, Bruce. I've just been through it 3 times, and the 4-miler again, and also the Kim Muir. Those are the sort of races that, because Aintree's coming up, and I'm looking for stayers for the Nationals and things like that. I think races like that are great for spotting future winners. So, those are, I'm always looking for a bet to be had in the next few weeks, sort of thing. And I thought, as I say, Maldini and Jury Duty ran better than you would suggest. Hold on, sorry about that.
No problem. We'll go to DJ for his horses to follow while Tom answers the phone.
Highlight was Sam Crow. I think it's interesting. I heard Maddie off air there, maybe crabbing Sam Crow a little bit.
We're going to have a quick Sam Crow chat in a minute, so go on, give us your track of horses.
Yeah, that was the highlight. Okay, by far and away, the biggest eye catcher for me was Whiskey Sour in the County Hurdle. I am utterly convinced that this horse will win the Galway Hurdle. To do what he did with his lack of experience in a big field handicap from the second last to the last was quite astonishing. I think he went from maybe 15th or 16th to jump the last in front. I know there's a long run between the second last and the last, but you need to be a hell of a good horse to do that. He's already won a big handicap on the flat at Galway. I think he'll win the Galway Hurdle. That's Whiskey Sour. And a few others. Top of the game, I think there'll be a gorgeous chaser next season. I think he could win the RSA. He was a big baby, and now he's really matured and he knows how to battle. I thought Nuba Negra was the horse to take out the Fred Winter. Thought watching the race the whole way through, I thought he looked the best horse in the race. A little bit of inexperience and didn't quite get up the hill, but Nuba Negra I thought was really interesting. And what about my old Western rider in the Supreme? He was very unlucky. He was unlucky not to be placed. He was badly hampered at the second last. He's not one to give up on. He could actually be well handicapped.
You don't give up on any horse once you take a shot.
No,
that's your problem. You're too loyal. Aoife is so lucky. You will never, ever leave Aoife. You're the most loyal human I've ever met.
Whoa. You say that. But I gave up on him at Cheltenham because I gave him no chance whatsoever. So now our love has been reunited. I'm
glad you said that because I thought you said you say that, but I've dumped Aoife over the weekend. Thank goodness for that.
Bruce, can I just jump in?
No chance. I'd be single for the rest of my life.
Go on,
one horse I think a lot of people might be in danger of forgetting. Tom mentioned Santini. I thought the Albert Bartlett was really, I mean, you talk about horses in behind looking as future chasers for the future. I thought it was perhaps a really, really good renewal this year. And people often try and look in behind, but don't forget about the winner, Kilbricken Storm. He travelled into it really, really well. He does his little thing and drifts, but he wasn't as bad as when he won at Cheltenham in December. He's 40-1 for the Stayers and 33-1 for the RSA. Now, at this stage, like you say, I think you'd be a bit mad to get involved.
25-1 for the 4-miler.
Well, exactly.
He's in everything.
I just think he's a good horse, and people can get wrapped up in following the horses in behind. But at the end of the day, he's beat them all, and he beat them all really easily. He would have been idling in front, and he jumped as well. If he is going chasing, jumped superbly. So Kilbricken Storm, a little bit of a less sexy one, but I think you don't forget about him.
OK, and finally at Cheltenham, he came in as the poster boy, the Great White Hope, the horse that might turn into the next Arkle. He won really well, and yet everyone's gone quiet. No one's talking about Sam Crow, so let's talk about Sam Crow. There's really no point going through all the prices because he's favourite for about 8 different races at next year's festival. But first of all, David Jennings, I'm going to ask you, how impressed were you with Sam Crow? And I don't like doing that if he was yours, because people like you and I are never going to own horses. That's good. But what do you think his target should be next year?
Well, I can't believe you're saying that everybody's gone quiet on Sam Crow.
Well, there hasn't been the buzz that you might expect. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's probably because a lot of the hot pots won. You know, the Altiors won, the Lorenas won, a lot of the favourites won. So he kind of got lost a little bit in the middle of all those. But to me, it was the performance of the week. He won by 2 3/4 lengths. Like, holy God, that does no more do his superiority justice. He completely idled when he got to the front. He's never had to battle before. I just thought what he did from the second last to the home turn with Jack absolutely pulling a cart. Like, I think Black Off is a very good horse. And I know Maddie is going to say basically that the form of the race, if you took Black Off out of it, I just think he's exceptional. I think he does everything right. And just the way, like, Gordon Elliott might be only 40, but by God, he's trained some good horses. And I spoke to him on the Monday at Monday at Cheltenham, and he was walking the track, and I said, how are things? He said he hadn't slept because of Sam Crow. Nothing to do with any other horse in the race. All he wanted to do was get Sam Crow out of the way because he was absolutely petrified. This is a man that knows exactly what a superstar should be, and they think this is the best horse they will ever, ever have. And that tells me that he could win no matter what he runs in. I think he'd win the Champion Hurdle. I think he'd win the JLT. I think he'd win the RSA. I think he'd win the Gold Cup in 2 years' time.
OK, then DJ, what should he run in and what will he run in next year?
Because the Champion Hurdle looked so poor, take Bouvard Air out of it, there's so little coming through. I think he's a better horse than Somerville Boy. I would go for the Champion Hurdle next season and then run him over fences the following season, because I think he could just absolutely mop up the 2 mile division in Ireland next season. That's what I do. But they want a Gold Cup horse, and I think you'll see him in the JLT. OK, Tom, how impressed were you with Sam Crow? It's always good, these horses, that they don't need to win it in the final furlong. Kind of like See the Stars in the Arc. They put it to bed and then just have a little celebration furlong at the end, don't they?
Well, that's exactly right. If you remember Istibrak winning the race, he was exactly the same. He just struggled past Mighty Moss, I think it was. Maddie, you probably wouldn't have even been born by then, but but that's the type of horse. That's the type of horse he was. He was. He's just a brilliant racehorse, isn't he? He's done. What more can you do? I mean, I'm like DJ there. I'd love to see him in the Champion Hurdle. I think that would be great for the sport, seeing a horse like that. I personally don't think they'll run him in the JLT. I think they'll think, the JLT is the JLT. I think they'll run him in the Arkle if they run him next year over.
That would be good.
because that would be great, wouldn't it? Running him in the Arkle. I think, there's no problem. Lots of great horses have run in the Arkle. Footpad, they're talking about, could be a Gold Cup horse of the future. Why not run Sam Crow in the Arkle? Personally, as DJ says, I'd love to see him in the Champion Hurdle, because I think that's the sort of race he could win.
And if he's that, if he's that good, then surely you want to make history and win them both, don't you?
That's what I do with him. That's what I'd do him. If they love him that much, I'd definitely give him the shot at a Champion Hurdle.
What did you make of him then, Madge? You weren't blown away, were you?
No, see, you're all making it out now. I'm going to get absolutely skinned alive on social media. Maddie thinks Sam Crow's rubbish. She's absolutely lost her mind. No, like, I'm always likely to take on these short price horses, and that's just because I'm greedy and I like a big price. But he was the best horse. I found it interesting. Jack Kennedy said he wasn't happy with his position. I mean, I thought he was in the ideal position. He wasn't getting in the way of anything, and he just swooped by them. I don't know. I think Black Hop's a really good horse as well. If he wouldn't have clouted Velast, he would have been a lot closer. But as DJ said, Sam Crow was probably just idling and would have gone and done whatever he needed to do. I don't know. I just think he probably will get beaten at some point. It doesn't make him a bad horse. If he does get beaten, it's crazy to expect a horse to go unbeaten through his whole career. But I just don't know. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting. I'd love to see him in the Arkle. I'm not saying he's not as good as people have said he's not good. You're all setting me up to get absolutely ripped into now. But
I don't think we're doing anything, Maddie. I think you're doing it perfectly well yourself.
Someone's just about to bring a ladder into the studio for you, Maddie.
No, he's a cracking horse. He deserves all the plaudits, but I'm always bound to take him on because that's just my style.
So your jury's slightly out, let's say, shall we?
Yeah, but I don't really have a reason to be out.
That's
As you say, he's done everything so easily, but personally, I don't know. He's the bubble's bound to burst at some point.
All right, well, for all you strange folk who prefer flat to jumps, your moment comes next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, Bruce Millington, Maddie Playle, Tom Siegel and David Jennings are looking ahead to the start of the flat. It's the Betway Lincoln, takes place at Doncaster on Saturday. Latest prices from Paddy Power: 7 Lord Glitters, 8 Adib, is that right?
Don't ask me, I think so.
10 Fire Brigade, 11 Zabeel Prince, 12 Big Country, 14 Repercussion, 14 Escobar and 16 Bar. David Jennings, how excited are you about the Lincoln?
No, I'm not excited.
Have you got the winner for us?
It's funny, last season when you're in flat mode through the autumn, I thought that Zabeel Prince would be an ideal type for the race because he handled soft ground at Yarmouth, seemed to love it at Nottingham. It's obviously going to be bottomless at Doncaster, I'd imagine. So he was my idea of the winner. I think he's got up to 106 now, which is obviously not ideal. He's going to be near enough top weight for the race. But I thought he got a bit of a strange ride, I thought, at Ascot on Champions Day. Hit the front far too early, was too keen. He's a better horse than that. And yeah, last autumn I thought Zabeel Prince was the Lincoln winner, so hopefully he can come good in the spring.
Maddie, have you had a good look at this?
He was another one that was on my radar. I've got to say, when I saw this on the running order, I was like, this is like a different language, Bruce. You're asking a lot of me here. So it did take me a while to get in the flat frame of mind. Afak is one I looked at. He's closely matched with the favourite. I think the favourite's about 8-1. This horse is about 20-1. He's out of the Guineas winner Gennati. I think he finished 7th in the Britannia. He was 3rd in his group last year. He's still a bit green. He's a course and distance winner. I just think based on the price that the favourite is and the price that he is, he's probably wrong. I don't think he's been gelded, and I think, like I say, he's quite immature, so perhaps maybe he wants that. But yeah, I just thought basically at the prices, I think Charlie Hills is who trains him. He's still on a good enough mark, unlike perhaps some of the others who perhaps have just shown that improvement a little bit too early. So a fuck for me, but not getting overly enamoured by the Lincoln just yet.
I was certainly pronouncing that horse's name quite a bit last week when my horses kept getting beat, I can tell you that. Tom Siegel, who do you think is going to win the Lincoln?
You naysayers, I like the Lincoln. You can all bang on about. I love the jumps more than the flat, but I like the Lincoln too. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, why?
Ryan Moore's been booked for Fire Brigade. Which I thought was very interesting. Did you see him in? I don't know if you saw the Hong Kong Derby.
Yeah, I did. Wow, what a ride that was, wasn't it?
That was tremendous, wasn't it? I mean, I think the fact that Michael Bell's opted for him to suggest tells you all you need to know about that horse's chance. It's clearly got a good chance. But I'm a Lord Glitters fan. I don't know if you remember Champions Day last year, the handicap at the end. We've probably all gone home then, but
no, because I always win. Oh yeah, of course, yeah, Lord Glitters, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all had it off on him, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
David O'Meara.
No, honestly, we did. Yeah, no.
You see, now you're all excited.
I remember
you
now.
see
Yeah,
what I've
I'm
done?
excited. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
O'Meara won it last year. If he runs, I mean, he's also in the Doncaster Mile, the listed race on the same day. So, you know, I don't know where he's going to run, but if he ran in there, I think he'd have a massive chance. He came from last to first at Ascot that day, showing a tremendous turn of foot. Soft ground, no problem. Clearly a group horse. What's not to like?
Okay. When you said Fire Brigade at first, the way you were talking, I thought you thought he was going to hose up.
That's worse than one of mine.
Dreadful.
Anything else for Doncaster on Saturday, Maddie Playle?
No, but I have a horse to follow if you'd like that, or would you like to go to one of the others first?
Anything else for Doncaster on Saturday first? Well, let's do it in running order, because otherwise my OCD, I just get thrown really badly. Tom?
Yeah, there's the sprint to start with. I thought interesting that a horse that David will know from Ireland, Blue de Vegas, now with Robert Cowell. He's been with him for a bit probably, but I thought he was interesting. 6 furlong soft ground would suit him. And a horse that I'm very fond of, MJ Jack for Carl Burke. I think he'll have his horses ready. Soft ground, 6 furlongs would suit him too. So the Camage Trophy, I'd be looking at those sort of horses on the first day.
DJ, anything else on day one?
It'd be interesting if Robin of Navan won, but I thought Tabarak in that Doncaster Mile Stakes, the listed race, I thought that was quite interesting. Tabarak.
Okay, there's no peace for Tom Siegel, because as soon as he gets off this, he's not watching Cheltenham videos anymore. He's cracking on with the Guineas, because it's the Guineas price-wise in Wednesday and Thursday's Racing Post. But Maddie and DJ can both have a free shot at the 2 Guineas. Who do you fancy, Mads?
Oh, the Guineas?
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't on my plan.
We'll go with DJ, because he's got a view on
DJ.
absolutely everything, and then we'll come back to you. DJ, who wins the Guineas this year?
Just about Gustav Klimt and 1,000 guineas Clemmy, but my horse to follow for the season would be Amadeo Modigliani.
Go on, Amadeo!
Yeah, I did an interview with Aidan O'Brien that's in the Racing Post on Tuesday, and he puts Amadeo Modigliani in the could be anything category, and he says he could be strong in the could be anything category.
Oh, I'm on it at 33s for the Derby. Come on, Amadeo. That's great news, DJ. Thank you. Maddie, have you got your Guineas winners sorted out?
It's not a Guineas winner, but he is entered, and it's my horse to follow, so it sort of ties in. Am I going to be let off? Orange Suit, Richard Hannon trains him. He's a half-brother to Simple Verse and Even Song. He won a Newbury Maiden that's worked out okay over 6 furlongs. It's crazy that he won over 6 furlongs having that pedigree. He has actually, like I say, he has actually got a Guineas entry, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking at him something for Royal Ascot or something like that. But a little bit of one who might have gone under the radar. Orange Suit, he won really nicely.
Orange Suit.
Better over further and with time.
Brilliant. Well done, Mads. And Tom, your horse to follow for the flat, please.
Also, John Gosden's filly called High Garden, Bruce. She won at, did she win? She won at Newbury last year, soft ground, by Nathaniel. She'll stay 1.5 miles, no problems. And Gosden was talking in glowing terms after she won that day, saying that she was really good. So High Garden for John Gosden is my horse to follow. And Tom, are you confident with this year going into the Guineas? So it's the 2,000 on Wednesday and the 1,000 Thursday, isn't it? Or have I got that the wrong way round? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm, as you say, I'm trawling through at the moment. I'm interested to hear DJ's whatever it's called, Mogdalini. I wondered if he might run in the Guineas first if he's that good, but I doubt it. Saxon Warrior and Roaring Lion. I think our race, the Racing Post Trophy race, was the best 2-year-old race by a mile last year. I thought it was a really top-class race. I'd throw in the Pentagon from there as well. As I thought there were 3 or 4 really good horses in that. So that's the form line I'm looking at the moment. Whether I end up there, I'm not sure. Clemmy is obviously the one to beat in the Guineas at the moment, but you know, there's lots of French fillies. I think Andre Fabre might have a decent French filly coming over. So I'll trawl through it and I'll find one for sure. Lovely stuff. Do not miss DJ's wonderful interview with Aidan O'Brien in Tuesday's Racing Post, Tom Siegel Wednesday and Thursday. We've got a fantastic flat pull-out with some horses to follow and some great stuff in Friday's paper, and then we've got Lincoln Special on Saturday. So Racing Post every day. Don't forget, if you do enjoy the shows, please do rate, review and subscribe on iTunes. She is back on Friday with the Weekend Tipping crew. Thank you very much for watching.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.